So shall we start? It's 6:10 now, sir. I request all the panelists to unmute themselves and unmute the video. Shabi, sir. Okay. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To welcome everyone to yet another interesting session of IMA, MSN, and JDN. So what after MBBS is our session for today. And we have 7 interesting panelists with us who will share their bit of knowledge, which obviously will be the most enthralling out of what one can hear in this fine evening. So first, we have Dr. Adekalavan Chokkalingam. He's done his European diploma in radiology, and he's a part of the Royal College of Radiologists, FRCR. And we have Dr. Nivedita Meethan. She's a physician epidemiologist at the Monterey County Health Department. We have Dr. Savit B. Prabhu. He's done his immunology at CMC Vellore and biomedical research. Then we have Dr. Ashish Krishna. He's a cardiovascular health consultant and a former health consultant at WHO. We have Dr. Shabir Ali. He is the MD at Hodo Medical Info Solutions Private Limited. And we have Dr. Saran P, IAAS, former Deputy AG at the Comptroller and Auditor Generals of India. He's the Executive Director of IAS Hotspot. So I welcome all the panelists for today's evening. So over to Dr. Adekalavan Chokkalingam, sir. We'll start with him.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to IMA MSN talk on this panel discussion. To begin with, am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So, in between in the screen, something is coming like waiting.
So Prashant, do one thing. Why are you keeping all of us as the co-host? Because we are getting the prompt to admit people in the waiting room. Remove all the panelists from co-host position. Remove all of us from the co-host thing. Okay, please do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please do it immediately.
Yes, sir. At once.
Sir, then you can't share the PPT, sir.
We don't have a PPT. When we talk, then if we have a PPT, make us the co-host at that point of time. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
For all those who are having PPT, at that point of time, you make them the co-host.
Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So basically, I'll tell the opportunities and the routes through which you can enter into UK. To join as a doctor in UK, basically you need GMC registration, which is General Medical Council registration. And there are multiple pathways through which you can get GMC registration. To begin with, I will tell the pathway through which I got the GMC registration. After completion of MBBS, what I followed and most of us followed are the senior routes. They will do postgraduate entrance coaching for 1 year. They repeat and then they get the entrance and they join for postgraduate degree. Like that, I also did the same. So I did my MD in radio diagnosis from Kerala. After completion of MD, I was working as consultant radiologist. While I was working, I decided to give FRCR exam, which has 3 parts. To give the first part, you need to have 1 year of mandatory training in radiology. And to give the final part, you need to have 3 years of training. So I gave the FRCR exam. Once I finished that, then to get the GMC registration, you need to prove your English proficiency as well. That can be done either through IELTS or OET. And there is a minimum score that is required. Once you have done with, then you can get registered with GMC. So after getting registered with GMC, you can look for the job opportunities in UK, either through NHS jobs website or through locum agencies. So that is the first part. So the Royal Medical College route, it is the same pathway for all most of the other specialties, like if you want to move into medicine, it's like MRCP. And if it is in pathology, it is FRC path. So this is the route if you choose to do your post-graduation in India, and then take your next step into foreign opportunities. But sometimes I regret I could have done it earlier itself, because BLAB was a straightforward route, and USMLE is for US. And similarly, if you choose to move out, then you can make that step in early. But initially, I didn't have the plan to move out. Then after completion of radiology training and working as consultant, then thought of giving a try, because of some of my seniors and my friends have taken that path. Second, the main path is for BLAB route. That is for the, since this panel discussion is about what after MBBS, so that is more relevant. So after MBBS, BLAB route is the Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board test conducted by General Medical Council UK. It has two parts. In part one, you have 180 multiple choice questions, and you have centers in India to do that. And the part two, you have to come to UK. It is a practical OSCE based exam. So before giving the BLAB exam, you need to create GMC online account, and you have to prove your medical qualification and your English proficiency. And after creating the account, and then you have to give the BLAB exam. After completing the two parts, then you get the eligibility to get the GMC registration. Then after getting the GMC registration, you should do a foundation program here for minimum of 4 months and get the competency. After getting that, you can either enter into a training scheme of the specialty of your choice, or you can take a non-trainee post in the specialty of your choice and work, and then move on to the specialty of your choice, whichever you like. And so BLAB route is the route that is advisable for the MBBS graduates who want to move out to look for overseas opportunities and work as a foreign medical graduates in UK. And the third one is the medical training initiative pathway. That is, it is a short-term opportunity for maximum period of 2 years, and that is through the Academy of Royal Medical Colleges. Like we have Royal Medical College for anesthesia, pathology, gynecology, like that. So there is an MTI application form, and through the MTI route, you can just enhance your skills and have an experience in NHS for 2 years. So, but the opportunities are limited in MTI, and the seats are also limited, and the selection process is also a little bit cumbersome. And usually, those who have done training in a specialty, they try this MTI after their post-graduation, because they don't want to go to BLAB route again after finishing the post-graduation. That will be a little bit cumbersome. So that is the third one. And the fourth part is the fellowship program. That is, whoever who has done specialization or subspecialization in India and who wants to just do a fellowship in a particular field, they can come to UK. And that is, you have to apply for the post in the available teaching institute through the NHS Jobs website, and there will be an official interview. Once you get selected, the GMC sponsorship will be provided by the teaching hospital which selects you. Like MTI training also, if you get a post, the trust or the Royal Medical College will sponsor you the GMC registration. So if you go through the Royal Medical College exam route, then you straight away get the GMC registration. And in BLAB also, you straight away get the GMC registration once the criteria is satisfied. For the fellowship and MTI route, you need to get the post or the program you want to join, and then it will be GMC registration will be sponsored by the concerned Royal College. So these are the basic routes through which foreign medical graduates can come and work in UK. I'm not that too much into UK experience. I'm just here for 7-8 months back. I moved in. So that's it. So living in UK, okay, life is cool over here, but the weather is initially little bit difficult to cope with, and you get very good free time. That's one big difference I felt, because Saturday, Sundays are off. You have to work Monday to Friday. It's a 40 hours a week, so you can enjoy your free time as well. So that's one of a big plus, I feel. And racial discrimination, I never felt so till now. Maybe because lots of Asians and Indians are there, even in the hospitals or in the community as well. So that's not a big deal. I never felt so. So that's it. So these are the opportunities and the pathways for foreign medical graduates in UK.
So that was great having you here, sir, on this session for this. The topic was pretty good, I guess, and you've touched almost all the corners of getting into the UK. So I think that will sum it up on yours, sir. Thanks a lot for making it the best part. So can we have the next panelist, Dr. Nivedita
Thank you.
Meethinma?
I'm trying to share my screen here. Here we go. So good evening all. I hear it's been raining in Chennai. Hope all of you are safe and sound. Such trying times as we go through this pandemic era, and time cannot be more right to talk about our public health careers. I'm an epidemiologist. I work for the Monterey County Health Department in California. I remember being the only student on day one of my MBBS days who said, I want to get into research after my MBBS. I mean, my friends did make fun of me a lot when I did say that. Well, that was 15 years ago. And I see a lot of Indian medical graduates now at APHA conferences and other international conferences who come here to present their paper or their studies, or just to showcase their work. Anyway, as one of the panelists, I will be presenting some of the public health paths one could take during and after MBBS. So it basically depends on your interest, but one could always do an ICMR project while you are a student, or be part of an independent or relevant, socially relevant community health program. But there is nothing in the world like being a government doctor. I mean, I worked in a remote village with minimal resources for over a year. And to me, that was the best days of my life. It is there that I learned that the beauty and nuances of our public health system. I gained proper leadership, administration, and negotiating skills, especially while dealing with our staff, the local government bodies, and large private enterprises. It's an important skill if you want to excel in public health. Other career options that can help you if you are interested in research are public health epidemiologist, health service researcher, a health scientist, or a healthcare data analyst, a clinical researcher who basically does a lot of research activities for the respective hospital, and healthcare administrator, who are people who actually deal with a lot of administrative aspect of running an institution or a hospital or a public health system, and health policy advisor. So what should you do in order to get into a public health? If you want to get into a government job, give your PSC. There's also going to be direct recruitment as research assistants in major universities and hospitals. I personally did my MD-MPH, which is Masters in Public Health. You could also do Masters in Bioinformatics. When I did my Masters in Public Health, there were a lot of non-medical graduates too along with me, including lawyers. You could also do a PhD or a DRPH. DRPH is Doctorate in Public Health. There are dual degrees like MD, MPH, MD, MHA, and stuff like that. But those are all like if you want to advance your career and understand or fine tune your skills, you could always do a master's. It's definitely not a necessity. Experience speaks more volumes than getting into a master's degree. So who should apply? While it is ideal for everyone with or without a clinical practice to understand the basic principles of epidemiology and biostatistics, generally medicos who are interested in the preventive aspects of medicine, those that have a problem solving, a critical thinking attitude, or those that can collaborate with other agencies like the local government, other hospitals, environmental health agencies, social workers, they seem to thrive mostly well in the stressful environment. It is stressful. Yes, you're not in clinics, but it is a stressful environment. Imagine talking to your local MLAs, your directors of different hospitals, and trying to investigate a disease. It's going to be a lot of hard work. In US, yes, it is 40 hours officially, but sometimes, especially now with COVID, it just gets beyond 60 hours. I mean, for Indian medical system, 60 hours is nothing. We work we work a lot of hours. Basically, a public health career in medicine is the integration of epidemiologic, sociologic, economic, political, and any other analytical sciences in the study of health service. So why did I say everyone should apply? It's because, I think personally reading journals, especially understanding the methodology behind any scientific research is easier now because of my major in clinical research. Anybody who enters a medical field, I think they should be able to read a lot of journals and be up to date with what's happening in their area of interest. So a public health degree definitely helps. So what are the roles and responsibilities generally a public health professional has? The health research is concerned with deriving the relationship between the needs, the demands, the supply, the utilization, and outcomes of the health services of our community. They provide a community diagnosis and health situation analysis. For example, what is the burden, nature, magnitude, severity of a disease in the community? Assess the distribution, the trends, political mapping of the problems, recommend institutional responses with long-term as well as short-term goals in mind. Basically, we need to address what is being done to resolve these health problems and what is the structure and process involved. There's a lot of innovations happening as community health solutions. Like you must have heard of a lot of vertical programs that's happening in India, as well as district level programs. So a public health professional is the one who actually innovates all these solutions. We also help the policymakers, decide whether to initiate a new health program, determine the range of services that can be included, evaluate the use and effectiveness of any program that's already functioning, identifying high-risk population and areas, evaluating alternative delivery modes, like do you need a new hospital in an area? Do you need a, like for example, when COVID hit, in US, we had tents outside all our hospitals so that people don't come into the hospital and infect everyone. Instead, they were first screened and we were able to have a first response right outside the hospital in a safer environment. So things like that. That's what a public health professional does. They actually provide evidence for a better policy making. And in short, have an epidemiologic perspective and make connections into the society and be a problem solver. So I just thought I would give a small snapshot of what I do a day at my desk. It's basically chart reviews of all our patients. We have electronic health record here. So depending on what my research study is, I go through all the charts. that's called data mining and analysis. If you choose a public health career, it's always better to get in to understand the different data analytical methods. We have a lot of state reporting as well as internal reporting. It's similar to India. Most of my work is just like a government doctor working in a PHC in India. We have a lot of stakeholder meetings, grant writing, and innovative, and also a part of our time has to be trying to establish if a problem exists in the community. Is really does my place have COVID? Does my place have increase in suicide? So establishing that a problem exists, and then having innovative projects running, or in order to test if any programs will help reducing the health indices. I do a lot of monitoring, evaluation, and research studies. Quality improvement and health equity planning also comes under my hat. So that's it from me. Any other questions? I can stop sharing the screen.
Yes, ma'am. So if there are any questions, we'll put it up for you at the end, ma'am.
Cool.
It was a great session indeed, with a different perspective, I should say, rather. Like not many would try to take up this as their own profession, especially at such scale. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for sharing your insights on the same. So can we have the next panelist, Dr. Savitri Prabhu? Sir, can you unmute yourself? Dr. Savit, sir?
Hello.
Sir, your voice is inaudible.
Yeah, hello. Am I supposed to speak?
No, not Shabir. I think it is Sabit's turn. Sabit is there.
Sir is there, sir, but he has to unmute himself.
Because we were just made participants, so we were not able to unmute ourselves. Sabit is not able to unmute himself. Please do that.
Yes, sir. We'll look up a second.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll start the PowerPoint.
Yes, sir. You can start.
Yeah. Can you see the PowerPoint now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just a few words about what I have done and what I work on.
Slide share. Sorry, the slideshow mode, sir.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So I did my MBBS and then MD in pathology. And after my MD, I was working on basically on basic research in immunology. And I have done postdoctoral work in National Institute of Immunology, THSTI, and a short fellowship in Australian National University in Canberra. And now I'm working as assistant professor in Christian Medical College, Vellore. And one thing is, if any student wants to contact me for any of the doubt related to what I'm speaking about, they're free to email me. So generally, as MBBS students, we start from the basic sciences and proceed to the clinical specialties. The route that I have taken is the opposite. That is, so I'll broadly speak about pursuing the opportunity for doing academic research in basic sciences. And my field happens to be immunology, but I'll be generally talking about academic research opportunities in basic sciences. So this presentation is aimed at students who want to explore the possibilities of preclinical and paraclinical specialties after MBBS, and those who have interest or curiosity about doing research options after MBBS in basic sciences. I'll be talking about basic sciences, but as Nivedita already mentioned, academic research is not necessarily exclusive to basic sciences alone. And there are ample opportunities for academic research in every clinical specialty and in public health. And also, I would like to say that academic research is not the only option available after any pre or paraclinical specialty. And there are plenty of other opportunities in research or in industry or working as consultant. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So many a time I find that many students, MBBS students or after MD students come to me and express their interest that I want to do research, I want to do basic sciences and stuff like that. And when I usually ask them, why do you want to come to research? Many a times I'm surprised that many a times the answer that I get is that something like I don't like clinical specialties, so I want to do preclinical, or something like I find that entrance exams and all these are very competitive, and I don't want to get into the competitive field. So that's fine. We have issues there, but what is important is that we need to make sure the question is, are we moving towards your interests and values, or are you moving away from your fears? And the advice that I would like to give is to be clear about what your values and interests are. There are a variety of values. So if, for example, service to a patient or service to society is very important to you as a value, as a life value, then doing an exclusive bench-based, basic science-based research may not do well for you. Similarly, if you are in a financially more tight position, getting into a PhD program or something that is not as well paid as a clinical specialty may be difficult for you. So this is a very important consideration. If you are curious about, or if you are interested in pursuing a preclinical or paraclinical specialty or basic research, and if you want to just explore to know whether you will like it or not, the best option is to talk to people who have pursued the path, and like what Nivedita actually did, ask them about their day-to-day activities. So many a times students think that biomedical research is very interesting and exciting, and there is the possibility of discovery and developing new things and stuff like that. But on a day-to-day basis, it's not that glamorous. It's often filled with disappointments, and many a times most of the experiments don't work, and sometimes many months of work become useless because things don't work and things like that. So day-to-day excitement in a day-to-day work is much more in a clinical medicine or in a field like diagnostic work, where you do something and on the next day you have results. Either you see the patient is improving or the patient is worsening, things like that. But many of the research projects take many years to come to fruition, and so that's one thing. And whether you are interested in a preclinical specialty or in basic science research, the easiest way is to try for yourself. Do a short observership. So, for example, write to any friendly professor you know, or something like that, and ask whether you can come to the department. You can spend time in the department for 1 month, 2 months, and observe what is happening. And there may be some non-academic posts, like non-academic residency posts, or non-academic research scholar posts, research associateship posts that you will be eligible for after MBBS. And you can try for a few months and see whether it works or not. And suppose you are really sure about pursuing basic medical research, the 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 most common question that I get is, how can I proceed? Which course should I join? Which is the best course, or which is the best specialty if I want to do this type of research? Or should I stay in India or go abroad? Should I do an MD or PhD? So these are all questions for which there is no right or wrong answer. I'll come to the MD versus PhD issue in a while. The main point is that academic research is very diverse. You need to very clearly understand what your specific interests are. So let's say, let's think about the present scenario where we are dealing with the COVID pandemic. And you may think, for example, I want to work on COVID and do research on COVID and try to make a difference or something like that. And there are different aspects to it. And you may be interested in a particular aspect. So, for example, are you interested in understanding how the SARS-CoV-2 interacts on a cellular level and how it enters the cell or how it replicates and things like that? Is that your primary interest? Or do you want to understand the immunological aspects of disease in a model system, like a mouse, like an animal model or something like that? Or do you want to understand the public health perspective, something from a more practical perspective? Or do you want to look at, so depending on what your real interests are, it's best if you can look at what type of research interests you, and then you will always easily find a faculty or a research institution or a primary principal investigator who does that type of work. And the best approach is if you directly approach them and say that I want to talk to you and I would like to consider working in research as an opportunity. Can you do you have a temporary positions for 6 months or so, and try it out? That's the easiest approach. So I'm not going to make any specific comment about how can I proceed. It is individualistic and depends specifically on the interests and the situation of each individual. The next is, should I do an MD or PhD? What you need to know is that all research institutions everywhere that I have worked, including those abroad, consider MD as equivalent to PhD as eligibility for postdoctoral research. So it doesn't matter whether you do an MD or PhD, it's both considered equivalent. If you do an MD, the advantage is that in case your research trajectory does not work out, you have a backup option. You can come back and work as a consultant in your specialty. And there are very well successful researchers who have done MD and done research. There are very good successful researchers who have done PhD after MBBS and become successful. So it doesn't really matter. But the point is that whether you choose to do MD or PhD, try to be in one of the best institutions where there are facilities for good research and good mentors with publication records. And whether you do a PhD or an MD, you have to work as a postdoctoral fellow few years and gain exposure and gain publications before you move on to become a principal investigator. So this is the general typical career track. After an MD or PhD, you pursue a postdoctoral fellowship for a variable number of years. So the number of years will, so it's not like a structured course. You work on a problem or a research project, and you take the project to completion and you publish it, and you publish good papers, and that's what you are evaluated for. So if you're lucky, you get a good paper in 2 years, that's it. You can move on to apply for grants for yourself and become a principal investigator. And during the early years, so during a typical MD or a PhD, you will be evaluated for your ability to work under supervision. And during a postdoctoral fellowship, it's more of an independent work, and you will need to show good track record in publishing. And once you move on to become a principal investigator, you are in a tenure track to a professor post, and you are an independent group leader, and you have an independent grant and research and so on. So so I am more in a supporting scientist position at along with a team of research at CMC, and a typical day for me involves doing some degree of clinical service, so that I am responsible for some of the diagnostic services, since the unit that I work in is actually a microbiology plus pathology unit offering diagnostic services to GI sciences, and I have teaching responsibilities for medical students. And as far as research is concerned, a lot of time is spent on reading literature, reading recent literature, critically thinking about it, and coming up with new ideas that do not seem to be addressed, and designing projects and experiments to address these questions, spending time with the students who are performing the experiments. And similarly, a lot of time is spent on analyzing the results of the experiments, doing a lot of statistics and trying to find patterns in data. And many a times we are surprised by some findings that come up unexpectedly, and then we spend a lot of time reading about the new findings that we find. So this is how typically it goes. And so I would like to thank you and thank all the listeners and the organizers. And as I said before, please feel free to contact me for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. So it was great listening to you. We had a lot of new things to learn from you, especially on both immunology and how you can, go through about how MD or the other degrees do differ. Again, in your very field on research. That was great insight, sir. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So we'll have the next speaker for today. So it'll be Dr. Ashish Krishna, cardiovascular health consultant. So can you have him? So you can start. Sir, you're not audible. Can you just check from your end, sir? We've unmuted you. Sir, it isn't audible as yet. So in the meanwhile, we figure out we have Dr. Albie John, sir. So he's an IAS and the Regional Deputy Commissioner, Chennai South Greater Chennai Corporation. So we can have Dr. Ashish once his audio is back. And can I ask Dr. Albie John, sir, to join?
Hi everyone,
Yes,
I hope I'm audible. Can somebody confirm it to me?
Yes, sir, it's audible, sir.
Yeah. So thanks to Sarin and all the organizers. Thanks to Sarin and all the organizers for this opportunity. I understand that this is a panel discussion which is organized by IMA MSN. The topic of the discussion is what after MBBS, and I have been asked to give a few insights into the UPSC, that is the civil service examination, that is being done after many people are appearing after MBBS examination. I'm also given to understand that Dr. Sarin has given an overview of what the exam is and all those things. So I'll try to give a small perspective into UPSC examination. As all of you know, a lot of doctors do write the examination, and the conversion ratio, that is the pass percentage of doctors, is very high compared to other professionals. If I am I'm asked to take a call on this, I would surely say that almost at least 40 to 50% of the doctors who seriously write the exam, I mean, with proper preparation for an year or more, do clear the exam. If not into IAS, I mean, all of them clear the prelims and mains and reach the interview stage and get into some service or the other. So for doctors, it's a good opportunity. If you are in the administrative service, it's surely a good opportunity. But in other services also, other UPSC services, there are many other allied services which is being recruited from the UPSC examination. So there also, it's a good opportunity. In fact, one of my close friends is in the Indian Revenue Service. He considered it to be a good career decision that he took after MBBS. So that is there. And I would like to mention a few personal points here. I wrote the exam with medical science as an optional. It was in the year 2012. And I, like many other doctors, I was not very confident in writing with the medical science optional. I was planning to take up public administration and write, but since I did not have enough time to prepare, Dr. Sarin, who is also one of the co-panelists for me today, he had suggested me as a senior in service and also from the quizzing circuit. He suggested me that it would be a wise decision to just try with medical science, and that is what I did also. I got the reading material and other stuff from the seniors who wrote the exam before me. Their notes and other things I got from them. And I gave a dedicated 2 months for studying the material from medical science. And that is what I did. And I was able to clear in the first attempt. And I got very good marks for medical science also. So I think it is when doctors are writing the exam, probably medical science is a good optional to take for the good optional subject to be taken for the exam also. That is my experience. And considering the service, considering the career option that it is, doctors have done exceptionally well across India in the civil services. There are a lot of stories where big changes have been brought in the rural life, and doctors have took the mantle. So, like I wouldn't say that this is the best ever career option ever there is. Depending on it, all depends on the aptitude one has, and it all depends on the the direction where one wishes one's career to move. But having said that, it is a good career option, and people who has an interest in administration, who has an interest in social issues, can definitely consider taking this. I think that is a few cents from my side, and I'll be open to any more questions, or if I want to explain it further on any of the points that I mentioned, that also can be done. Thank you.
Yes, there are a few questions.
For being there.
Is there any books you suggest for medical science optional, sir?
I prepared in 2012, cleared in 2013 exam. So at that point of time, I don't think there was any books which was available for the civil service exam from the medical science perspective. What I did was that I used my seniors' notes and other people who cleared the service before me. I used their notes. Similarly, I would recommend the same thing for other aspirants also. You can speak to. I'm an aspirant in 2012, and my experience with regard to the exam or the paper or the question pattern probably is little, arbitrary now. So what I would recommend is that you can identify who was cleared from who cleared with the medical science optional in 2019 or 18. And probably IMA can also facilitate an online interaction with them. And with their advice, it will be better to study. As far as my understanding is concerned, there are a few books, but I am unable to, recollect of any such titles. What I'll do is that I'll research the same, and probably I'll share it with the organizer. But as your question is concerned, I did not use any specific coaching book or training material for the medical science option.
Yes, sir. So I guess the question for you is done. So thanks a lot sir, for being here amidst your busy schedule. I guess it was great insights on how one could prepare being a medico into the civil services. And definitely, I think the point is well taken amongst all future aspirants, sir. Thanks a lot for that. So, can we have the next panelist for the day, Dr. Ashish Krishna, sir? If his audio is ready, we can have him. Ashish, sir? Dr. Ashish, sir? Sir, you have been unmuted.
Yeah, it's okay. Now my voice is coming.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Thank God. Actually, I have to log in through another miss. I am logging through my mobile. Okay, thank you. So sorry, there was some technical issue. I don't know what happened. So first of all,
Sir,
I
sorry
will
to
introduce
interrupt.
myself.
Your video isn't showing up.
Yeah, video is not actually. If I'm so there is just.
Yes, sir. We can see
Just
you now.
just a minute. Actually, I have logged in through to another another device. So now my video is coming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Ashish Krishna. Currently, I am working with senior cardiovascular health consultant with Resolve to Save Lives. So, like Nivedita, I am also a public health consultant, public health expert with experience of past 12 years. So previously, I have worked with many international organizations, just World Health Organization, John Snow, and currently I'm working with Resolve to Save Lives, a New York-based organization which is supporting uh, a public health program in non-communicable disease in the name of India Hypertension Control Initiative. So I will briefly give you this because many slides will be repetitions from the Nivedita because we belong to the same domain. Yeah. So, as a medical expert, most of us know the clinical definition of health, means what health compromises, what WHO defines. So, health is mainly, we know that it is a concept of where health considers individual, personal, physical, psychological, and social well-being. So, mostly we even as a health we see that mostly we know as a, work as a clinician mostly for the physical well-being, but many times the psychological and social aspects are almost getting neglected. Someone is playing with this screen, sorry.
Sir, since you're the co-host, when people enter, just shows up, sir. We'll just
No,
be
someone was drawing. Okay. So, what actually public health? So, public health is a much broader concept as compared to this health. It is not only science, but it is also considered as an art. So, it is a combination of science and art for preventing diseases, and it also compromises that we work for the prolonging the life of the individual populations, improving their quality of life through organized efforts and informed choice that is made by the society, organizations, and it is a combined effort of other stakeholders like health department, privates, and communities and individuals. So, in a very simple term, means what is actually public health means. For example, a simple example, if I will give, consider a person who is traveling through a car, and if he is a meeting with an accident, okay. So, as an individual clinician, what as an individual clinician, what that clinician will be doing with that patient, he will be treating it as a clinically. But if we come in the aspect of the public health expert, then they are looking this situation, this problem more holistically. So they want to investigate that why this accident has happened. So what is the reason behind it? What we can do to avoid such kind of incidences, and there are multiple ways to look for these issues. For example, that person who was driving, whether he was having, very simple example, whether that person who was driving was having a proper skills to drive or not, whether he was having any kind of vision issues, whether that road he was traveling was having a potholes or it was any other kind of issue, whether the laws and enforcement that is related to the drivings are adequate enough, or what is the community attitudes towards the driving, they are following the guidelines, rules or not, and if any person is meeting with any kind of accident, so is there sufficient accessibility of healthcare services for them or not in those regions. So public health researchers, public health experts look these kind of problems which is impacting the life of masses at in a holistic manner. So, who actually implement public health? So, mostly public health is led by the health department, but it is not only the responsibility of a health department. It is a combined effort of other areas of the government. For example, if you may, for example, you can see the recent COVID pandemic. Though health department is taking the lead, but other areas of department like administrations, police department, so other sectors are also equally playing the very crucial role. Also, many times private sectors, coordinated efforts of the stakeholders, many international organizations like WHO and other international NGOs or developmental agencies, they also play very crucial role in implementation of the public health. So there are many success stories. Many times we know that we get a very good kind of clinical. Many times my friends used to say that they get that kind of satisfaction if they are treating the patients clinically. But there are very beautiful, very enthusiastic success story that public health experts means they enthralled to they boast means they are proud of it. So I am giving very few examples, but there are many more. For example, you may be knowing one of the you may have read in the PSM chapters, the cholera, the John Snow story. So at that time in England, in during the London London when there was a cholera outbreak, so most of the persons, most of the public were not aware that how this cholera was causing. Okay, but a public health expert, a public health physician at that time, without knowing at that time what is the mode of the transmission, what is the pathogen, knowing and without knowing anything, he was able to apply the public health theory, a public health research, and he identified by a simple intervention that he uh, removed that hand pump pipe from which everyone was collecting water from their sides, and it was cholera outbreak was stopped. So it is very important. Like for example, also AIDS. When AIDS outbreak happened during 1982 for the first time, so everyone was very much confident that AIDS vaccine will be very soon they will be able to discover the vaccines or medication will be drugs will be discovered. But during that time also it took a lot of time, and still means the research is going on. But with the public health approaches, even at that time they were not able to no one was knowing that how this AIDS was spreading, but they were able to stop the transmission of the AIDS at that time HIV virus because of the public health approaches. Also, most of us have never seen any cases of a smallpox. Mostly we are reading this in history chapters. So, but our grandparents or our parents, they can they can tell the examples at their time that how this disease was so much deadly, and because of this public health intervention, this disease has been totally eradicated from this world. Similarly, recent few years back, we have successfully eradicated polio from our India. This disease was this disease was introduced with human civilization from many thousands of years, and it has because of this many children and many adult populations were handicapped for their lifetime. But because of all these public health interventions, now future generation will not be going to have this kind of diseases. Also very famous is the corona one. So everyone knows that corona disease means lot of public health interventions we are taking, like containment, contact tracing. So these kinds of interventions are used in the public health researches, and public health experts are the lead to implement these strategies. So how any person, how any medical graduate can enter the public health field? There are many ways. Most common today is most famous one is nowadays is the master in public health. So in master in public health also there are many specializations they can do, like reproductive child health, health system, health economics, health informatics, health behavior, disease control. There are many specializations are there. Also, the previous method was mostly most common was the MD community medicine, which is a 3 years course. But master in public health are nowadays either you can complete in 1 year or 2 years. Also, there are DRPH, as Nivedita was telling, and also if you want to go in more research, then you can do the PhD. So there are many institutions in India, or if you want to go and do it from internationally also. For India, like NI Chennai, you may be knowing the National Institute of Epidemiology, ICMA Chennai is conducting MPH for 2 years course. It is a very famous course. Also, Sri Chitra in Kerala, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. These are the few very famous institutions, but nowadays many institutions are conducting MPH courses. But it is, I will advise that if you want to do an MPH, then always do from some reputed institutions only. You can also do this courses from international colleges. So internationally, it can be done either two ways. If you are doing from the USA or Canada, then you have to complete your GR examination and you can apply there. So mostly in USA and Canada, these courses are of 2 years. But if you would like to pursue this course for 1 year, then you have to apply in European colleges, like London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine is there. Oxford University is there. Institute of Tropical Medicine, Antwerp, from where I did in Belgium, is there. Liverpool is there. Also, if you want to do from USA, then many famous institutions like John Hopkins, University of North Carolina, Harvard institutions. So these are very famous colleges from where you can pursue your master in public health. So also I would like to inform you that there are many scholarships are also available if you are applying. For example, I pursued there and it was totally completely sponsored by the Belgium government. So in the similar way, if you are applying to any colleges, then you can look for those scholarships too. If you'd like to know what kind of jobs are available in public health, as Nivedita has already showed that you can do multiple kind of jobs. So if you would like to see what kind of jobs are coming, so there are many job portal websites are there which are especially for the developmental, which are dedicated for the developmental sector jobs. For example, in India, you can go to devnetjobs.com, devnetindiajobs.com, devexreliefweb.com. You can also go to WHO, UNICEF, UNDP, World Bank, so LinkedIn. So you can find multiple kind of career options that are available at these websites. Yeah. So these were my slides. Any questions?
So no questions as of now. We'll have it at the end, sir, if any.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. It was a great session indeed. I guess we can have the next speaker for the day, Dr. Shabi, sir.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity that you have given me here on this platform to invite me into this big webinar. Okay. So again, what after MBBS? So this is the topic. What we are dealing with right now. So what after MBBS? So again, I will post a chart of a stock price of a company. Okay. So this is the stock price of a company that you can see that it is going from 2012 onwards. And in 2020, you can see a spike in the stock price. So it was around $300 just before the beginning of COVID. And during COVID, it has gone up to $1,500. So can anybody actually guess which company is this? You can actually message in chat if anybody can. So again, I'm going to take a different track compared to all other participants who have already presented here. All other panelists who have presented here, I'm taking a different track. It is a tangential track as well. So again, so anybody had replied that?
Sir, they've replied as masks, sanitizers, and Tesla.
Yeah. So the answer actually is Tesla. So I will. So this, I gave you a short walkthrough through the Tesla factory, so which is actually producing 7,000 cars now. You can actually see that this is an actual Tesla Model 3 driving. It's in fast forward. So you can see that it is self-driving. It is automated and it is self-driving. The driver doesn't need to hold the steering.
This is a Tesla car.
Okay. So again, this is a news article from 2019 June, which says that Goldman Sachs, which is one of the major investment banks, cutting the Tesla price target from 200 to 158. At that time, Tesla was trading at a price of around $300 per share. Now, I already showed you what happened to Tesla share after that Goldman Sachs target. Now, again, why actually the Tesla share actually went up? So basically what reason I see is automation. And as I showed you the factory of Tesla, that is the first factory where robots are creating robots, and Tesla car having 4 wheels and self-driving. So it can be the first automatic robot. So Tesla becoming the first company where robots are building robots. Now, what is the cost of Tesla car, Tesla Model 3 in India if taxes are not there? Any guess?
Clueless, sir.
Okay. So I will take you through the cost. It is just around 24 lakh Indian rupee. If taxes are not there, taxes will be extra. Again, I hope that India government will come down on taxes on electric car. Now, what is the value proposition that Tesla is giving? So Tesla is actually, Tesla or automation as such. Automation is actually going on in every dimensions of our life. In every sector, automation is actually going on. Now, what value proposition does Tesla give? So imagine that it is, you are taking a Tesla motor car on loan. So your down payment will be around 4 lakh. Your monthly EMI will be around 45,000. Now, around 30 kilometers per hour, if you are driving 10 hours per day and you don't have to drive that, you will be using your Tesla car only for going to your clinic or OP or wherever. And then after that, you might be coming back home at say around 5 o'clock. So in between there is 8 hours time. And after that in night, there is another 10 hours time. Okay. So what is going to happen during that time? So if you are linking your Tesla car with an app like Uber, so after you sleep, your Tesla car will go to the airport and pick up your passenger from your airport and drop him 100 kilometers away and come back to your parking lot and park there. So this is what is going to happen 2 to 3 years or 5 years down the line. This innovation actually coming from a company. So it means that if you are using your Tesla car, which is a robot owned by you, the robot will actually be working for you on your behalf, 30 kilometers per hour driving, 10 hours a day. If it is earning 20 rupees per kilometer, for the passenger he is picking from airport and dropping in some other city. So the earnings will be around 1.8 lakh per month, and your investment is 4 lakh in down payment. You can pay your EMI from the earnings, and that is what is going to happen. And that is why the share value of Tesla is going up. This activity cannot be done by any other Toyota or Maruti 800 or any other car. So this being the first company where robots are building robots. And again, so coming to the world's top 4 companies, the first one, Facebook, the second one, Google, Amazon, and Apple. What do all these have in common? So again, this is supposed to be an interactive discussion. So any input? So these are the top 4 companies, and these 4 companies have something in common: algorithms. All of these 4 companies are algorithms, and algorithms helping in digital transformation. So what is actually happening is the work of, see, you can look into the companies like Uber, which is not having any car at all. You can look into company like Oyo Room, which does not even own a single room. And you can look into Swiggy, which is not having any restaurants of its own. But they are becoming the biggest players in their own respective domains of taxi, flying taxi, and their own domains of booking rooms and in delivering restaurant food. Okay. So again, what is happening? The digital algorithms are being used to optimize the utilization of existing asset. So existing asset here, Uber using the existing assets of cars, which is commonly owned by many people. And now what is happening? I am using my car only 1 hour a day or maximum 2 hours a day. The rest of the 22 hours, the car is sitting idle. That is wealth sitting idle. Now Uber comes into picture. You can actually, or Uber or some other company in future will be coming into picture with an app wherein you can actually provide your car on lease to this company. They will actually run this car and make money out of that. So that is how they are going to make money out of that. It is by utilizing the existing asset which is lying idle. So in the same way, Oyo Rooms. So if there are hotel rooms, if there are buildings, they are actually collaborate with those buildings, and the algorithm who is fetching the customers connects the customer to the existing building. So again, Swiggy is also operating the same way, where actually Swiggy is delivering the food from restaurants, etc. The restaurants are already there. It is not owned by Swiggy, but again, the customers come to the Swiggy app platform. So what is happening? Digital transformation and optimizing the utilization of existing assets. Now, this same thing, digital transformation, is already happening in healthcare also. So you can actually see that in case of telemedicine and other applications of digital technologies in healthcare, it is actually skyrocketing. Again, COVID may be an accelerator to that, but even without COVID, it would have happened like the same thing, where actually the patients have to connect with the doctor for not all if you think about Swiggy and Uber before Swiggy, you were not using restaurants that much often. Maybe you were using it once or twice in a month. Now after Swiggy, you are using restaurants maybe 4 times or 10 times in a month. Again, for taxis, earlier you were using very less number of counts. Now as the convenience is there, the utilization is exponentially growing. Again, with healthcare, most of the people who are actually self-treating now, for example, for small problems like cough or a fever or something like that, they will actually go for. So instead, what if you can provide them with a method to connect to you from their comforts of their home itself? So that change actually is happening in healthcare as well, in the form of digital transformation. Now, for people who were into MBBS and whose passion is, so myself, I started software computer programming when I was in 7th standard. So I had a family-owned hospital, and I started programming for that hospital. I automated actually the entire software for that hospital by the time in 2 or 3 years. So my software was being used by that hospital for quite a long time. So again, later on I joined MBBS, and again, if your passion is into maths and physics and in arithmetical logical problem solving like chess, Rubik's Cube, etc., this session is for you, if to follow your passion. Again, I think the success mantra, if you ask me to boil down the success mantra into a few sentences, what I will say is inch wide, mile deep, and razor sharp focus. So again, my son actually, he was talking to me about, he was telling me that he is a programmer, he wants to become a programmer. So I enrolled him in some online course for computing, like White Hat Junior something. So he himself was actually downloaded Scratch from MIT, which is a computer programming tool, and he had started using it 2 years back. He is now around 10 years old. Now what I am thinking is like, see, if he is starting to learn programming from now itself, so he will be getting 10 years lead time in his inch width, mile depth focus. Okay, so again, information and knowledge actually is spreading like an ocean, and the width of the ocean and the breadth is ever increasing. Now everyone can focus on a single inch of this ocean, and if he is digging in mile depth in that single inch, then that is where actually you are going to succeed. So that can be like any domain, not just in healthcare. So I actually used the Tesla logo here itself to represent that. So the information is like the T, the upper end of the T. It is like it is a mile width. So in the mile width, you need to know an inch depth, but in an inch width, you have to know about in a mile depth. So this is where actually you will succeed. So again, you have to have the passion on that particular focus area, and you have to be persistent in your focus with patience and forging partnerships and with other people who are ready to collaborate with you in that particular inch. So again, so I'll just tell you some applications of technology in healthcare. How after MBBS, if you want to see, I see what I see is like a lot of automation is going to happen in healthcare also, like in case of pathways like history taking. History taking can be actually automated. Now, if you automate history taking, and if you provide a link to the patient where or a mobile app or in WhatsApp, so right now we are working on something like that, where patient can actually enter his history in WhatsApp itself. The robot or automatic bot will actually ask him back his next symptom. So if he's telling like some symptom like fever, then it will ask whether the fever is he's having fever, for how long he's having fever, whether he's having chills with fever, etc. So these kind of questions will be asked, and his associated symptoms also will be asked. So now these are pathways that can be automated, and that will make the job of other doctors very easier. Now this can come only from these pathways can be automated by the work of other doctors. Okay. Now, so I am taking you through a video. So it is one of our clients.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
So this is a product that we have. So this is a product that we have done for an emergency department, wherein we have automated the entire workflow of an emergency department, starting from triage. So the nurse will triage in say 10 seconds. After that, the patient bystander will go to the receptionist, and he will actually enter his patient data there only in the reception. By the time he enters the data, the patient in the ER TV screen, his name will appear in the TV screen by means of tagging. So this kind of automation, and again, you must have seen in between the video, there is a workflow of the pathway, the airway breathing circulation pathway. So this workflow is, this pathway is actually automated by the pathway defined by the emergency department chief of a tertiary care hospital. So so when we automate that workflow and that pathway, so here the blending of the ideas of doctors and engineers makes the life of other doctors and other medical staff, etc., very much easier. So this, I think, is what is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years in healthcare technology industry. Now, again, this is from Harvard Business Review, HBR, which is a very important magazine, e-magazine. Like what it says is like around 70% of the millennials will quit their jobs in within 2 years. So again, I think that this is happening because, see, like 20 years before, only very large group like say 1,000 employee company could actually build something like Hodo. Okay, now as people like 10, 20 people can actually build something like Hodo, which is almost similar to a core banking solution. Okay, so now going ahead in future, say 2-3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, single person can actually start building companies like this. So this is where I think actually people will start to quit and start becoming working like in freelancing or in own company basis. So basically what I think is like many people will be going into entrepreneurship on themselves. So entrepreneurship is a different path altogether compared to other streams that you can take up. Like it may not be fit for all. You have to have that risk-taking mentality, and you have to discover yourself first whether you really need to do that. You can do that, I think, only if you are ready to take risk for the benefit of future upcoming community, upcoming people, etc. So you have to really think on whether you want to really do that and take that entrepreneurship path. It is a different path, and I will tell you a little bit about Hodo, what I am doing. So we have like clinic management software, lab information management system. We can connect multiple different small labs to bigger labs. We can connect small doctors to labs so that the doctors doesn't have to invest on lab equipments, etc. So again, we are trying to bring together clinics, labs, primary physicians, pharmacies, and hospitals. And this is our patient growth rate. You can see that it is exponential growth, and we have now reached around 1 million cumulative patient visits. Now, our vision is like medical record interoperability, where patients needs their medical records for better transparency. Healthcare record providers needs medical records for accurate treatment. AI algorithms needs structured medical data for better output. So again, so I'm talking about the alternate career paths that you might be able to take. So like to reach here, I think there are courses in IIT like MMST, wherein when I checked the syllabus, curriculum, most of the things that are needed by companies like ours are covered in those kind of courses. So this might be some course that you people like who are interested in healthcare technology would like to explore. Now, again, coming into emerging technologies in general, data science is emerging, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and Internet of Things are emerging. Internet of Things in healthcare will emerge in big way, like wherein the diagnostics will start from maybe from your toilet itself, where the parameters of health parameters are collected. Instead of testing yourself, it will be like on a real-time basis. So again, emerging technologies, blockchain, it gives immutable data. So like your personal health records, etc., can be residing in blockchain, and Bitcoin being the first blockchain. So it will be actually be used in healthcare also in 3 to 5 years down the line. Again, artificial intelligence also is emerging, where automation of pathways, early detection and treatment, etc., can be enabled. So Internet of Things in healthcare monitoring things. So again, I think and some may be interested to explore. So if you want to explore, like whether it is really fit for you, you have to, if you have a liking for mathematics, for physics, etc., and you already are into, maybe you have attempted into computer programming, etc., I think that you should look into these courses offered by edX, Coursera, Udemy, MIT, etc. Okay, so these are basically courses that will give you an orientation about computer programming as such. So now I don't think that any doctors as such, they need to learn programming. So again, in my company, I'm not into doing the programming. I'm alternatively, I am into solving the problems that are being faced. So like in making the algorithms, that is where actually I think opportunity is there in healthcare technology. So again, thank you for the opportunity that you gave. And this is my number. If anybody want to contact me on WhatsApp, you are always welcome.
Thanks a lot, sir. So it was great having you here. And I guess you've kindled the entrepreneur in us. Just as our previous speaker had given us a mention of the job opportunities, and you've given us an option of how we can build up a job over it. So thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah.
So can we have the next speaker for the day, Dr. Saran, sir?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
We are already running late, I guess. And myself, Dr. Saran, I'm a politician. I did my MBBS from Calicut Medical College, then switched over to civil services. I took up Indian Audit and Account Service through UPSC Civil Services examination. I was senior to Albi in the service. I belonged to 2009 batch. I had my stint with Government of India for almost 6.5 years. Later, I decided to quit. And take up public service in another way. Meanwhile, I have a question for all of you. You might have heard about Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and all, right? And also the Legislative Assembly in Tamil Nadu or your respective states, where we call them as MLAs. And there are member of legislative councils also in some of the states, okay? And then there are local corporators in big municipal corporations. In municipalities, we have councillors, and in panchayats, we have ward members. Except for this particular bit, all the other 6 speakers talked to you about how an MBBS graduate can make a difference in the public health delivery, the technological side of it, the executing the policies of lawmakers, etc., etc. Now, who are the lawmakers here actually? Lawmakers are those people whom you elect. They are called legislators. Their role is to legislate, and that what exactly runs the country, runs the world, according to me. Okay. So why are doctors hesitant to join the muddy politics in India? It's actually not the case, but there are a lot of politicians. I guess there are a dozen of people in Indian Parliament. Okay. At least a handful of them are from modern medicine, or what we call as evidence-based medicine, the allopathic doctors. Our former health minister, the Dr. Harshvardhan himself, is actually a medical practitioner. In India, Doctors' Day is celebrated on July 1st. You know what is the significance of July 1st in Indian, medical history? Why is July 1st the Doctors' Day, National Doctors' Day in India? Any guess? Any guesses? Prashant, do you have any guess?
Not really, sir.
Chandra Roy.
Who was he?
He is the Chief Minister of West Bengal.
So you have all these many doctors who were kind of the doyens in the field, but still you would celebrate National Doctors' Day on the birthday of a doctor politician. Okay, so that gives the importance of getting into lawmaking after doing your MBBS. So it just happened to me that I should try out this as well. So nothing as an advice that you all should move on to this kind of a path. No, nothing, not that is not needed. That is not the point that I'm trying to make also. But you should follow your heart. You should follow your passion. Getting into a medical college, you all have gone through the tedious or the hectic schedules of your entrance preparation and all in your late teenage, and then you spent your 5.5 to 6.5 years in a medical college, and then you decide what you want to do with that MBBS, you should take a serious call with that MBBS degree. It could be any of the path that all these speakers try to portray in front of you, or you can be your own trailblazer. You can take the less, or the what you call the path which is not traveled by many. So try out all these things. For that, you have to have full conviction on what you are. You should listen to your heart. You should follow your passion. MBBS, after MBBS, anybody can take up a post-graduation, but it takes something special out of you to move out of that, what you call that, off-taken path and do something extraordinary, okay? If you have it in you, it's not that you are supposed to do it as a routine. No, if you have it in you, if you say that you need to do, if you feel that you need to do something different, and then you were always cherishing that dream within you, then you should listen to your heart sometimes. Otherwise, after post-graduation, you will become a prescription writer. And that is the, that is a calamity that all the doctor community in India is facing. You need not be a mere prescription writer. A doctor doesn't mean to be a prescription writer. It's much beyond that. So to explore this, you need to have that question asked to yourself repeatedly, not just once in a while, but repeatedly. Why should I choose a post-graduation than something else after MBBS? Because MBBS is just a degree. It will be counted as just a degree, a professional degree after some 5 or 10 years, because this has become what you call, there are a lot of private institutions where you get admission just because you have that, what you call, funds with you. If you are having funds with you, you can get an admission in a medical college. Of course, you need to qualify the NEET exam. That's another part. But after that, what will you do with your MBBS? You all need to think seriously. All these things that all these things that were told to you by the 6 speakers before me is actually just a, what you call, a beacon of hope that you can take other options also than being a mere prescription writer or being a specialist or a super specialist, etc., after your MBBS. So just follow your heart, do what you wish to do, or do what you follow passionately inside your heart, and that will make you a perfect doctor. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions to the panelists who are there at present, we have taken some 20 minutes more than the scheduled time. So there are few panelists remaining in the Zoom meeting, I guess. So if you have some questions, we will take it up right now, or otherwise we will wrap it up. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. I guess our delegates would have definitely taken up the message. So maybe we can have a question or two before we wrap up the session, sir, if the panelists are fine with it.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, sir. So one of the delegates had posed a question as to medical lawyership. So what they mean by this would be that a profession in the law sector along with the medicine practice. So how do you look this up, sir?
See, I'm taking the question. See, medico-legal cases, because medicine is not more treated as something divine. It's just like a consumer where there is a demand and there is a supply. So a lot of litigations happen in consumer courts. A lot of other legal issues are there related to forensic, crime scene, crime solution, etc., etc. So this is definitely one avenue where you can kind of what you call make a mark. If you have that kind of inquisitiveness within you, you need to have that kind of what you call legal jurisprudence or a legal acumen within you. If you have that inside, you can definitely take up an LLB followed by an LLM or something like that. Lot of foreign universities are having courses for doctors in law in law stream. So you need. I'm not an expert to suggest you some particular what you call course or curriculum or universities, but still I feel a lot of scope will emerge in this particular stream in the coming years, even in India. Maybe any additions to what I made?
So there's always the public health law, which you lawmakers employ to bring out your policies and stuff. There are also international relationships. Like most policymakers that I have met with here and in India, they've all had some degree in international relationships and how to have that, how to communicate the idea and the risk, how to be an expert in risk communications and all that. So whatever courses, I think nothing like an experience. If you, when I did my MPH in Hopkins, I had colleagues and friends there who did internship with Dr. Suresh Babu or other politicians in Indian system, and they had come with already an idea of how a public health system works. Forget public health system, how a political system works in a country, how to make a policy. So if you're really interested in getting into the law aspect, here we call it MPP, Masters in Policy Making. So there are courses, but it's definitely having worked with someone and seeing if you really like to go that path is something that you have to decide early on in your career. Then, because you have age as a factor. When you're young, it's definitely easy to take different paths and then decide on what you want to be forever, or grow your career in. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. And there's one more question for our distinguished speakers. So there's one who's asked as to the prospects of joining a PG after joining the administration. So I'll throw it to the floor of the house for anyone to answer this.
I didn't get a question, Prashant.
Ma'am, joining the PG after going through the administrative services. I mean, if you say take up a post as an IAS or an IPS or IAIS, and then you go forth to do a PG. So how do you go about?
Yeah, right. Okay, this is something what do you call beyond my comprehension. I don't. There are not many people who have done that. Okay, but there are a few who have gone back to something else. For example, the guy behind Unacademy. The guy behind Unacademy.
Roman Saini.
Yeah, Roman Saini was a medico from AIIMS. He got into civil service in his first attempt. He didn't even complete his foundation, but he did not go back to do his PG, okay? He did not go back to do his PG. He wanted to explore something else. Okay, so no, but this can also be the case, no problem with that. Taking a break and doing something which takes a lot of preparation and then getting into that, exploring that field for 5 to 10 years and then leaving that job and coming back to PG and then taking up a PG and then completing that and do a specialty. I don't know whether you can put into practice what you gained out of your 5 to 10 years of administrative or civil service experience into your specialty or super specialty clinical side, but definitely that can also be one of the options. I will not discourage that particular person to take up civil service exam after MBBS and after civil services, go back to PG and then do a super specialty also. Perfect, no problem with that.
Yeah,
you are the master of your destiny, so choose your destiny.
Here I would.
I also had peers who were in the age group of 29 to 85 who wanted to do their MD even at the age of 60 or 65. They had a totally different path. Like they were lawyers, they were engineers who wanted to do medicine at the age of 50, And then they went on to complete their MD too. And then after MD, they came back to do their MPH. So imagine studying, going to a university as big as Hopkins at 85. So like how Sarin said, like you're the master of your own destiny.
Any more questions?
I also know a few health secretaries in India.
Questions? Yeah, sir. Please continue, sir.
Ashish, please.
Yeah.
Ashish.
I was just telling that I also met few health secretaries in Madhya Pradesh, in Haryana, MD. So they are IAS officers, but after pursuing a few years in administrative services, they went to Harvard or John Hopkins to pursue master in public health. So mostly they are not going to the clinical side, but they are looking for, because being at administrative, so looking more broadly health as they do masters in public.
Right.
Okay, sir. Next question to Savit, sir. Sir, are you there?
Yes, sir, is there.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir.
Few
You're
words on
audible.
computational biology, sir.
Can you repeat it?
Sir, few
Computational
words on
biology, sir.
computation.
So when we talk about computational biology, it has a very broad meaning, and it has different aspects. Classically, people who do computational sciences, like let's say the statisticians, bioinformaticians, mathematical modelers, and all that, they are classically from the pure sciences background, or even an engineering background, or programming background, and so on. But a lot of people who are biologists, or medical biologists, or biomedical researchers are getting into understanding more of data analysis and programming and so on. So to some extent, all of us who work in the biomedical sciences have to deal with some aspect of big data in some way or the other. So Nivedita may be knowing it from the public health perspective. And from the public health perspective, they do mathematical models of infections and pandemics and epidemics and all that at a very reductionist level. Like if you think of the type of work that I do, we work on, let's say, gene expression, or the cellular functions at the cellular level and how they get affected. So we start from looking at data that is available, mine the data for some patterns that we can see, and make some biological sense out of it, design experiments based on that, go back and test some of our hypotheses, which eventually generates more data. So any analysis of data that involves more than a standard statistical test needs little more of knowledge about computers and programming tools and so on. So to some extent, all so there is a very famous review article that that is titled "All Biology is Essentially Computational Biology." So nowadays we cannot survive without knowing considerable amount of data analysis. So it's very broad. Look at computational biology in Wikipedia or something. There's a nice entry on that.
Okay, sir. Next question is, what are the prospects of biomedical posts after MBBS, sir?
Okay, so the question is, what are the prospects for biomedical posts after MBBS? So I'm just thinking about it in two broad levels. One is what are the options available after you finish MBBS? So as I said, and as most of the other speakers said, think of it as whether you are likely to like what you are doing or not first. So if you are interested in a particular area or a subject or a field, and if you write to a particular faculty or a professor who has done good work in that field, and if you ask for an opportunity to work with him or her, most of the time you'll get a positive response. People are interested in recruiting people who are interested in their work. So that's one thing. So there is no doubt that there is no doubt about it. There is very good opportunity. Now the exact details of what the opportunity is, what the post you will be having, and things like that, it's variable from field to field and from situation to situation. And suppose you have an exposure, and if you want to pursue it, you can always pursue it as a PhD student, or you can pursue it as along with your MD if there is an opportunity. In most universities abroad, there is a kind of flexibility, in the sense people who do PhD, they can also start MD in the midway, and people who do MD, they also start PhD in their midway. Some of the times it's quite overlapping, even without formal MD PhD programs. So that's good if you can get into such universities where there is a lot of opportunity. But immediately after MBBS, if you think that I want to do research and I want to do basic research, all that you have to do is to find what specifically you want and start working with somebody who is good as a mentor. The second thing is, the second broader question is, are there opportunities in the long run? That is, if you finish your MD or PhD, and if you do a couple of years of postdoc in a very good university and you get a good publications, then what positions are there, and what is the scope of getting grants in India? There are two angles to this. One is, if you look at the total number of job positions that you can apply to, well, if you have an MD as a clinician, if you apply, you'll immediately get it. There is no doubt. But the number of job positions as a research professor or a principal investigator in research institutes are limited. But having said that, if you have a good publication track record, all research institutions are looking
Sir, I guess your video is stuck.
I guess there is a problem with Savit's video stream, right?
Yes, sir. So maybe until we figure that out, we'll go to the next
Do you
question.
have any more questions? Yes.
Yes, sir. We have two more questions and we'll be winding it up. So what are the options in the defense sector with respect to a medico, is what one of them has asked. I guess it was previously addressed, but then they want to know as to what a trauma surgeon can do.
In defense sector?
Yes, sir.
So basically, he was not supposed to be in the medical college. He is the NDA guy. Okay, the one who asked this question still kind of is having in his mind that, no, I couldn't make it to Kadakwatla. Okay, so that is still inside him. That's why he is coming up with such a ingenious method to put into practice his defense, what do you call, fashion. Now, see, in Western countries and all, the field of ballistics as well as the field of defense is always, it always works in tandem with medical research, because a lot of things you might be knowing, what do you call, the doctor who was in charge of the gas chamber of Hitler, right? So basically it was a defense portfolio that the doctor was handed over by the Nazi regime. So that is one way of coming up with a poisonous gas, which can be used as a bioweapon, etc., etc. That is another different ball game altogether. But this guy's question, I will take it as a doctor who can who can train his gun for the right reasons in the defense sector. So if you want to do that kind of a thing also, A lot of doctors are hired by defense sector in DRDO, especially Defense Research Development Organization in India, where doctors' knowledge is put into practice in defense field while developing weapons, while developing medication which can be used in higher altitudes. For example, the hypothermia related cases and the ballistics that we can deploy in that kind of a particular scenario is always discussed and then developed in consultation with doctors. So, but opportunities are not galore in India, but obviously in Western countries, I guess there are a lot of opportunities. Other speakers may throw some light on this.
There's also occupational medicine and aerospace medicine, if you're really interested. So what aerospace medicine does is it primarily focuses on the health, safety, and performance of crew members, or in case of defense, the people in defense. It's one of the best places to work if you're interested in that kind of a cohort. You know, you're basically going to be it's stressful. All that you would be doing is looking at the climate changes and how a body reacts to a different climate, and then come up with solutions. In US, I think it's one of the branches to preventive medicine, so you can choose that as an elective. Like a community medicine MD in India, we have something called preventive medicine residency, and a part of, you can choose aerospace medicine as your elective.
Any more questions?
Ma'am, Nivedita ma'am, there is a final question for you. Comment on MD in PSM versus MPH, ma'am.
Thanks, Kiran. So it definitely depends on your interest level and what you want to do. I've always wanted to do the preventive medicine aspect and the and something socially relevant. So for me, when I was an MBBS student, I did talk to my community health professors, and this is something I'm just reflecting on their thoughts. If you want to work in an academia, if you want to work in institutions as professors, or and have your own independent research, just like how Dr. Savit said, having an MD in SPM or community medicine, especially in India, helps. Otherwise, if you want to just focus on just government agencies and then take it from there, a step-by-step process, and MPH is more than enough. After MPH, if you still feel like you want to get into academia, go on for PhD or a DRPH. When I did my MPH in Hopkins, it opened a lot. I wasn't aware of so many branches of public health, first of all. And now, like after having worked in different public health agencies here, I now am interested in artificial intelligence and data science. So, my next, currently I'm working on data science models and AI. I wouldn't have been able to go in that field if I did my MD in SPM. There's also this matter of if you want to be financially independent, and if you have an MD, you're definitely going to get more grant money for whatever research you want to do, and it's equivalent to doing a PhD. So it totally depends on what you want to do. If you want to enter academia right away, go in for an MD. If you think you want to work in the grassroots levels of healthcare, an MPH is more than enough.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Savit sir, just wanted to add one last line that there are a great number of opportunities in job with respect to India. So this is what he wanted to say. So I think we'll wind up the session.
Prashant, one clarification from my side. Prashant,
yes, sir.
I was going through the chat box. So that question regarding administration and then the PG was not the way that I answered. the one who asked the question wanted to know whether after getting into administration, she will be given a non-objection certificate to pursue a post-graduation. So that means you are not certain whether you want to do a post-graduation or you want to get into civil service. That's why you have both the options open for you. But I feel there are a certain listed courses which will be given NOC for after you get into civil service. Unfortunately, taking up a post-graduation in a medical science field is not one of the courses that can be taken up. Of course, you can go on leave. But for that, you need to get all the permissions from your higher ups and from the department as such. You can go on leave and then pursue it, and then you can come back and do it, I guess. But I'm not sure because nobody has done it like in that way so far. So, but of course, as Ashish Krishna told, you can do with government grant and with service counted courses like MPH or even courses related to medical science, but not a pure medical science specialty as such.
That definitely. So here we have a problem, right? This is why we need lawmakers who raise this issue with lawmakers, work with your policymakers, your local MLAs, and try to find a solution to this.
So we will wrap it up then, right? It's almost 145 minutes.
Yes, sir. So I guess we're up with the end of the session for today. I must definitely thank Dr. Albi John, sir, Dr. Radhikalavan Chokalingam, sir, Dr. Nivedita, ma'am, Dr. Savit, sir, Dr. Ashish, sir, Dr. Shabir Ali, sir, Dr. Sarin P, sir, for the gracious presence at this point of time, especially for being at our session today and making it one of the best sessions that we've ever had at IMA MSN. I think I'll be reminded of the session each time I conduct one. It's been a great one, definitely. And I must definitely thank the team of IMA MSN with Dr. Manigandan sir, Dr. Vinit Velmurugan sir, Dr. Jayasurya sir, Dr. Venkatesh Karthikeyan sir, and all the people over there, the ones at the technical team, and again, Kiran for organizing this and getting all of you at this point of time at this stage. I guess our delegates would have been equally privileged to hear to such words, in fact, golden words from each one of you. So thanks a lot for that. And I think we're with the wrap of the session. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot, sirs.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure to guide you people in whatever minimal way we can. All the best to all of you.
Signing off, Prashant, National Joint Secretary, IMA MSN. Thank you.